Good morning, Tigers. It's Read Across American Week, and we are tired. We're back with another guest reader.
And today is extra special because this guest knows a lot about books
She helps us find books that transform us into faraway places.
and always decorates the library to make us feel like we're there too.
She knows just the book we need before we do. Please welcome our librarian, Miss Kim.
Okay, Tiger Town.
Shh, it's story time.
Hi everyone, I'm Miss Kim Hall, the librarian, also known as the media specialist, and today I'm reading The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lesmore, and it's one of my new favorite books. So here we go. Morris Lesmore loved books. He loved stories. He loved words. He loved stories. He loved books. His life was a book of his own writing, one orderly page after another. He would open it every morning and write of his joys and sorrows and all that he knew and everything he hoped for. But every story has its upsets. One day, the sky darkened and the wind blew and blew, till everything Morris knew was scattered, even the words of his book. He didn't know what to do or which way to go, so he began to wonder and wonder. Then a happy bit of happenstance came his way. Rather than looking down, as had become his habit, Morris Lesmore looked up. Drifting through the sky above him, Morris saw a lovely lady. She was being pulled along by a festive squadron of flying books. Morris wondered if his book could fly, but it couldn't. It could only fall to the ground with a depressing thud. The flying lady knew Morris simply needed a good story, so she sent him her favorite. The book was an amiable fellow and urged Morris to follow him. The book led him to an extraordinary building where many books apparently nested. Morris slowly walked inside and discovered the most mysterious and inviting room he had ever seen. It was filled with fluttering of countless pages, and Morris could hear the faint chatter of 1,000 different stories, as if each book was whispering an invitation to adventure. Then his new friend flew up to him and landed on his arm. It held itself open as if hoping to be read. The room rustled to life, and so Morris's life among the books began. Morris tried to keep the books in some sort of order, but they always mixed themselves up. The tragedies needed cheering up and would visit with the comedies. The encyclopedias, weary of facts, would relax with the comic books and the fictions. All in all, it was an agreeable jumble. Morris found great satisfaction in caring for the books, gently fixing those with fragile bindings and unfolding the dog-eared pages of others. Now, librarians frown on dog-eared pages. That means the corner of the book is turned down. That's called dog-eared. Sometimes Morris would become lost in a book and scarcely emerge for days. He's even upside down in this one. Morris liked to share the books with others. Sometimes it was his favorite that everyone loved. and other times he found a lovely, lonely little volume whose tale was seldom told. Everyone's story matters, said Morris. All the books agreed. At night, after all the stories that needed telling had been told, and everyone settled down to their proper places on the shelves, the great big dictionary would get in the last word. It was then that Morris Lesmore would once again write in his own book. He wrote of his joys and sorrows, of all that he knew, and everything he hoped for. The days passed. So did the months. And then years and years. And Morris Lesmore became stooped and crinkled. But the books never changed. Their stories stayed the same. Now and his old friends took care of him the way he had once cared for them. And they read themselves to him each night. Then one day, he filled the last page of his book. He looked up and said with a bittersweet sigh, I guess it's time for me to move on. The books were sorry, but they understood. Morris put on his hat and took his cane. As he went to the door, he turned and smiled, then waved goodbye. I'll carry you all in here, he said, and pointed to his heart. The books waved their pages, and Morris Lesmore flew away. And as he flew, he changed back to the way he'd been that long ago day when they all first met. The books were quiet for a while. Then they noticed that Morris Lesmore had left something behind. It's his book, said his oldest friend. Inside was Morris's story, all of his joys and sorrows, all that he knew, and everything he hoped for. Then the books heard an expectant sound. There in the doorway was a little girl. She looked around with wonder. Then something fantastic happened. Morris Lesmore's book flew up to her and opened its pages. The girl began to read, and so our story ends as it began, with the opening of a book. And that's the conclusion. And this book was actually based on a real librarian, and the author experienced Katrina, the Hurricane Katrina, and he started writing this book in 1999 and then finished it recently when it was published and also made into a short film.
Thank you so much, Miss Kemp, for sharing that wonderful story with us.
You always help us discover new books, new characters, and new adventures in the library.
Thank you for reminding us reading can take us anywhere, and we all have to do is open a book.
Tiger Town.
Shh, it's always story time.
Keep reading at school, at home, and everywhere you can. We'll see you next time.